Hey everyone, welcome to Sports Unlimited. I'm Morgan Atzett, live at M&T Bank Stadium for a Week 11 preview that is happening tonight on the national stage under the lights. This is the matchup that doesn't need any additional hype, but we are slowly starting to make our way to get here tonight. We have players starting to trickle in from both sides. Ravens starting right guard Kevin Zeitler getting loose over here in the end zone, the blacked out end zone for the game. And Mr. Joe Burrow is at the 50-yard line tossing some passes. The Ravens are going to be facing the Bengals starting quarterback healthy in this go-around in Week 2. Only 2 games separate these two, and that's just how tough the best division in football is this season. The Bengals have been calling tonight's game a playoff game, looking as must-win to save their season in AFC North standings. The Ravens have that lead, but a loss tonight after Sunday's disappointment with Cleveland could leave the door open for Pittsburgh to join them at the top of the standings after Week 11 ends. The Ravens are looking at tonight must-win as well for them.
I mean, it's a must-win for us, too, if we want to stay ahead of the division. So we go in there and we probably desperate as them, even though we're ahead of the division.
We know how big this game is for us, come off a loss, and it's a divisional opponent. All them things are tied into that. But, at the same time, we got to go out and do our job. And just remember, it's the next game on our schedule, so we got to make sure we win it.
It's a playoff atmosphere, especially with that team, what they've been doing lately. It's like I said, a playoff atmosphere. So we just got to go out there, like I said, play our best game, not try to put too much pressure on ourselves, just go out there and have fun, honestly.
What's a short week mean? Well, health might be on the line. Inactives will be out just before 7, but the Ravens have ruled out All-Pro left tackle Ronnie Stanley with a knee injury from Sunday. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey is doubtful with his calf injury. And as you're seeing right now at the 50-yard line, Cincinnati has some of their players starting to get in here and warm up before they actually put the uniforms on and warm up. This is when they test things out. Joe Burrow's healthy, he's fine, he's going to play. But this moment right here is going to be huge for the Ravens on defense because Marlon Humphrey, if he can go through pregame walkthroughs, and also Kyle Van Noy, the outside linebacker, he is reportedly going to be a game-time decision. So what he does in this work right now before they put the pads on will determine if the Ravens have 2 of their best defenders on the field against the Cincinnati offense. Reporting live at M&T Bank Stadium, I'm Morgan Atzett for Sports Unlimited.
All right, and things look good for the game tonight. Temperatures falling through the 50s under mainly clear skies. Now, by tomorrow, we do have some increasing clouds. Let's take a look at that weekend forecast in detail. You notice a big system off the coast, a kind of ocean storm here. That's going to rip off a lot of the moisture from the weather maker that's going to be coming through here. So we will see some clouds. There could be a slim chance of a shower or two, mainly while you're sleeping, I'd say, Friday night into early Saturday morning. Saturday looks good. Lots of sunshine. Breezes pick up, and Sunday, too. Real nice day, although high temperatures will be a little bit cooler. We're at 71 degrees with showers late for our Friday. Breezy and cooler for Saturday with highs in the upper 50s, and it looks like mid to upper 50s on Sunday with the winds dying down. Now, let's take a look ahead. Of course, big getaways coming as we head toward Thanksgiving. And I think Tuesday, not a great day here. That's going to be a pretty busy day, and we're going to have some on and off rain. Now, Wednesday, that's one of the busiest travel days of the year. We start off with some showers, but by the afternoon, it looks like those clear out. Earlier, it looked like some computer models said, especially north and west of the city, that there could be some wet snow mixed in on Tuesday, but those have kind of fallen out of favor at this point, not expecting anything but rain out of this next system.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, Marilyn Mosby set to return to court in January. The charges she's facing and the time she could spend in federal prison. And a Baltimore City Councilman throwing his support behind Sheila Dixon for mayor, why he says it's time for new leadership in Baltimore City.
We need proven leadership that can restore faith in our local government while creating a culture of accountability that will right this ship. And I believe that former Mayor Sheila Dixon is that leader.
A city council member endorsing Sheila Dixon as Baltimore's next mayor. Why he says Brandon Scott's administration isn't doing enough for Baltimore City. Fox 45 pressing the mayor on his continued support for safe streets. Hear what he has to say about the program's potential gang ties. And one top doctor at Johns Hopkins Hospital under fire for hate-filled messages against Palestinians. How the war in Israel is affecting marginalized groups here at home.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
City Hall has reached a level of dysfunction that I never thought was possible. And our residents and our small businesses deserve better. We need proven leadership that can restore faith in our local government while creating a culture of accountability that will right this ship. And I believe that former Mayor Sheila Dixon is that leader.
A new endorsement for former Mayor Sheila Dixon as the 2024 mayoral race heats up. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you so much for staying with us. Today, City Councilman Eric Costello endorsing Sheila Dixon as Baltimore City's next mayor. As he threw his support behind Dixon, he sharply criticized the current administration, which he says is struggling even with the most basic functions of government.
In the past few weeks, the administration has suddenly rolled out action plans for increased responsiveness to 311 service requests for basic items like illegal dumping, pothole repairs, and streetlight outages. These are basic everyday city services. These are issues that have gone mostly unaddressed for the first 3 years of Mayor Scott's term, reminiscent of writing a term paper the night before it's due.
Mayor Scott's re-election campaign releasing a statement in response, claiming the next election will come down to whether voters support Mayor Scott's vision or return to, quote, the failed leadership and policies of the past, unquote. The statement, though, went on to say the mayor is committed to investing in Baltimore communities and building public trust. You can read his full statement on our website at foxbaltimore.com. Stay with Fox 45 News as the race for Baltimore City's next mayor takes shape. At 10 o'clock, Jeff Abel has more on Dixon's latest endorsement and what it means for her campaign. Fox 45 News continues to demand answers from city leaders about the Safe Streets program. Mackenzie Frost pressed the mayor today on the possible gang ties to the city's flagship gun violence prevention program.
We caught up with the mayor at various events throughout the day just to question him about what he knows as to what's going on inside the gun violence prevention program.
Good morning, everyone.
After Mayor Scott's media availability Wednesday ended before we had a chance to ask another question.
I
have one more question. Brian, everyone got a second round. We followed up with his office later that day, sending more questions, but no response.
I want to express my thanks and gratitude.
So we caught up with Mayor Scott at an event Thursday to ask those questions about safe streets and the history of Black Guerrilla Family, or BGF, gang affiliation with some members from the Violence Interruption Group.
We didn't cut the news conference short. No one else had that complaint but you, so let's be truthful when we're asking questions.
I had other questions, and I sent them to your office, didn't answer, so I wanted to ask you here, how long have you known about the possible links between BGF and Safe Streets?
So we're going to go through this again, Mackenzie. I think that we appreciate your reporting, and we appreciate the fact that you guys can go and look up public documents in court and know that one individual way back in 2010 had been involved in BGF and was in Safe Streets. But we know that that does not mean that everyone that's in Safe Streets is in BGF.
The mayor echoing a sentiment he said before, committing to accountability for any wrongdoing.
Anybody, I don't care if it's Mackenzie Frost, whoever it is, if they're in the streets of Baltimore and they're doing things with BGF or any other organized person, if we find out, we will do what we do all the time. If you're involved in illegal activity, it can be my mother. She'll be treated the same way.
And since funding for the Safe Streets program comes from the state coffers,
would you support the state forensic auditors taking a look at how the money is being spent for the Safe Streets program?
Well, I think that we have a fabulous comptroller in the city of Baltimore who is quite capable of doing that, and we know that when you receive state grants for things, that the state does that on their own.
So if the state auditors were to say they wanted to do it, would you support that?
I just answered that question. City first, and then if the state wants to step in and do that, they can have at it. We're not hiding anything.
The audit commission made up of these 7 members could call for a single audit of Monsey, but so far, that has yet to happen.
As for a state-level audit, we're reaching out to lawmakers in Annapolis to see where they stand on the possibility of that happening. We'll let you know when we learn more. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, turning now to the juvenile crime crisis, another city business is closing its doors after an uptick in crime. The Walgreens off Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard stayed open until 3 p.m. today before closing for good. Walgreens has not confirmed what led to the store's closure, but Councilman Eric Costello, who represents that district, is blaming a rise in juvenile crime,
which has been plagued by juvenile crime, which means the communities I represent in Heritage Crossing and then Townsend and the Terraces in Northeast Poppleton will be without a pharmacy because collectively we haven't done enough to get this situation under control.
Walgreens isn't the first business to shut down because of crime over the summer. Lidl in Brooklyn Park and Eddie's in Mount Vernon also closed their doors, citing an increase in robberies. Fox 45 News is looking into how much time former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby could spend in prison after she was found guilty of 2 counts of perjury 1 week ago. It is not clear when Mosby will be sentenced for the 2 perjury counts. Each carry a maximum sentence of 5 years. We know it won't happen until after her next trial, scheduled for January, on the 2 counts of mortgage fraud. Those charges each carry a maximum sentence of 30 years. One legal expert says Mosby is unlikely to get the maximum sentence, but says she could spend some time in federal prison.
Assuming that Mosby is convicted of all of her conduct, I believe that she will serve more than 12 months, more than 24 months in federal prison. It's a very strong case. Mortgage fraud cases, look, she's an attorney. She signed her name a bunch of times to a bunch of legal documents. It's literally what we're supposed to do for a living as lawyers.
Kurt Nachman says a plea negotiation could also still be on the table, which could mean a more lenient sentence. Turning now to the war in Israel, internet and phone services collapsing in Gaza today due to a lack of fuel, bringing about a potentially long-term communications blackout in the region. This would cut off Gaza's 2.3 million people from each other and the outside world, raising concern that the ongoing humanitarian crisis in the region will only worsen. The conflict in the Middle East leading to a rise in hate speech targeting both Jewish and Palestinian people living here in the U.S. Now, a high-ranking doctor at Johns Hopkins Hospital is on leave after he allegedly posted hate-filled messages on social media. Fox 45's Amy Simpson has more.
Maryland's Council on American Islamic Relations raising the red flag about these posts by Dr. Darren Klugman. And today, Johns Hopkins telling me the person responsible for these posts is on leave and will have no interaction with patients or students as it investigates.
As the Israel-Hamas war continues in the Middle East, back here in Baltimore, a Hopkins doctor is in the hot seat after violence-infused and hate-filled social media posts surfaced from the first days of the conflict.
We were asked by staff, employees at the hospital, physicians who work there, to take action.
Of Care, the Council on American Islamic Relations, sharing screenshots of a series of online posts from early October, shared by the account at Dr. Klugs. One post described Palestinians as, quote, bloodthirsty, morally depraved animals. Another referred to Palestinians as, quote, people that rape and murder civilians.
We've been listening to reaction from staff at the hospital and physicians who have reached out to us, and also to the families who have pulled their children from the hospital and now have taken their children to other hospitals.
CARE said it learned of the posts Monday night quickly filing a complaint with Maryland's Board of Physicians to investigate Dr. Darren Klugman. The physician, according to his profile on Johns Hopkins website, director of pediatric cardiac critical care and an associate professor of anesthesiology and critical care medicine.
Healthcare providers, physicians have a responsibility to demonstrate that they can care for these children regardless of their own political views, regardless of which side of the divide they are on, how they perceive the events unfolding overseas.
The hospital also responding this week. We at Hopkins share the concern of many about the deeply disturbing social media posts made by a faculty member in the School of Medicine regarding the ongoing crisis in the Middle East. A spokesperson said, in part, also saying the hospital and university are committed to a safe and inclusive environment for all. Statements that explicitly threaten or extol violence against groups or individuals on the basis of national origin, race, or religion violate our policies and do not represent our values. While this doctor is on leave, as Johns Hopkins says it's investigating, this civil rights advocacy group not satisfied and calling for further action.
You know, at this point, it's too little too late. A leave is not enough. We are calling for him to be terminated. We are calling for his medical license to be revoked.
The social media account that made these posts in early October has since been deleted. And this afternoon, citing state confidentiality laws, Maryland's Department of Health said the Board of Physicians cannot disclose whether or not it's investigating this physician, but did say any possible disciplinary action will be posted on the board's website. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Is momentum growing for more third-party candidates in the race for the White House? I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with new poll numbers and what they mean for 2024.
And the forecast for the Ravens game kicking off shortly after 8. Temperatures falling through the 50s, perhaps even into the upper 40s. So after a warm afternoon, certainly going to need some jackets and sweaters here. I'm going to let you know how long the cool nights and warm afternoons continue and when it could all fall apart with some rain. My Weather Authority forecast.
President Biden says he still believes Chinese President Xi Jinping is a dictator following yesterday's meeting in San Francisco between the two leaders. When asked about Biden's statements, a Chinese spokesperson called it an irresponsible political move. Despite the backlash, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says Biden feels the meeting was the leaders' most progressive talks yet. The 2024 presidential field may not be set just yet. Retiring Democratic Senator Joe Manchin says he may run for president as an independent. Manchin says both parties have gone too far to the left and to the right. Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman joins us live from D.C. And Scott, it seems like plenty of voters seem to agree.
They do, Mary. Good evening to you. The problem is it gets a little tricky when you have a lot of candidates from multiple parties. And then you sometimes see some unintended consequences. For those assuming 2024 will turn out as this two-man race, an alarming number of Americans are saying not so fast, including West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who's floating the idea of a third-party run, citing concerns about both Donald Trump.
The country would be in a horrible situation challenging our democracy if he got reelected.
And President Biden.
He's not the person we thought that was getting elected, being a centrist and moderate. He's been pushed so far to the left.
He's not alone. A new Quinnipiac poll shows more than 7 in 10 independent voters want someone else in the race, and almost 6 in 10 Democrats. But only about 3 in 10 Republicans feel that way. A majority of them say they're satisfied with the current field.
It's significant that at this point, this many people are on the fence. I mean, this is a time where we've got 2 older gentlemen running for president who are not terribly popular. And so people are looking for something else.
Prompting scenes like this. Reporters peppering Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson while on the Hill Wednesday.
Mr. Johnson, are you running for president?
But more serious consideration is being granted elsewhere, and nobody seeing it more than Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Kennedy is a force in the universe in this all of a sudden. I'll let you draw the conclusion why, but we also found that people who have least belief in government have the most belief in Kennedy.
And he, a skeptic of the election system, which he likened to the former Soviet Union.
The Communist Party was claiming that they had a democracy. But the way they controlled the democracy is the party alone could designate who the nominees were.
And pollsters telling me that it's the young voters who seem most disheartened with the current slate of candidates and are looking for a fresh horse. And even if that candidate can't necessarily win, they can still clearly and dramatically alter the results. Mary?
Scott, yet third party or independent candidates can draw votes away from the Democratic or Republican presidential nominee. How much of a consideration is that for these potential candidates?
Well, former Senator Joe Lieberman is one of those who now organizes No Labels, that other party that may put together an independent candidate, one that perhaps could be Joe Manchin. We don't know. But what he says is that they're being very careful about that they will not put forward a candidate if they believe it would detract enough votes from Joe Biden, for example, and then allow Donald Trump to be reelected. He says a majority of their supporters don't want that, so they're not going to let that happen.
All right, Scott Thuman live for us in D.C. tonight. Thank you.
Next weathermaker is going to be coming our way, but this weekend's weathermaker actually don't look so bad. It's the one that's going to be probably coming Tuesday into Wednesday. That one could be a little rougher for holiday travel. For now, it's clear, it's calm, and it's turning chilly for our Ravens game that starts at 8:15 this evening. Toyota East Unit Harbor Skycam, beautiful lights of M&T Bank Stadium. Winds are calm. That's good news for play. And our humidity at 47%. Gorgeous day today, 58 now here in Baltimore, 53 at Bel Air. A little bit warmer down the District Way with 58 at Gaithersburg and just outside of D.C. as you head to Laurel in the mid to upper 50s. A high 72 this afternoon here in Baltimore. Cooler at Annapolis, where you're near the cooler waters of the Chesapeake Bay, which are sitting in the 50s. Otherwise, 60s to right around 70 degrees or so statewide. There's rain to the south across southeastern U.S. and Florida, and there's another batch of rain with the next weathermaker that's going to move our way, but it's pretty moisture starved as it makes the move over portions of the upper Midwest. It will lead to a cooler weekend, though. Now down to the south again, in between all the warmth that we're seeing here and that system that's off to the north, we do have some tropical moisture that's trying to squeeze its way toward Florida. Several inches of flooding rain possible down that way. That will never make it here. But again, it's that system to the north and west that squelches the warm weather we've been seeing today. And then again for tomorrow. By Saturday, high temperatures struggling near normal in the mid to upper 50s. So overnight tonight for the Ravens game, looking good, mainly clear skies, temperatures settling very close to 50 overnight into early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, clouds thicken up. High temperatures about 70 degrees, and notice the rain moving in. Fairly light, though, as we head into Friday night and early Saturday. I'm going to let you know what to expect into the weekend, and with that next system next week toward Thanksgiving, my exclusive 10-day forecast in a couple of minutes.
Tensions continue to rise over the new location for the FBI headquarters. Coming up, why Virginia lawmakers are calling the choice a political move. There are growing tensions over the new location for the FBI headquarters. Christian Flores with our Sinclair sister station in D.C. explains.
Getting to the bottom of how that was able to occur and how we can ensure that it doesn't happen in any other potential bids in the future is kind of the primary element of our work at the moment.